Algebra 1 students, welcome to your 2.9 notes. Today we're going to work on percentages. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to put a little bit of theme music in there from one of my favorite television shows. When you get to class, let me know if you can figure out what that television show is. So here we go. We're going to work on what percent of 60 is 33. So here's how we set this up. We're going to use the cross product property to set up a lot of these. So I'm going to do 33 over 60 is equal to x over 100. And I think after you guys get a lot of these set up, you're going to start figuring out pretty quick how to use the cross product property here. We're gonna multiply across here, so we'll have 3300 is equal to 60x. All right. And if you're like I am, you don't want to do 3300 divided by 60 in your head. So I'm going to plug that into my calculator to figure out what that will be. And x is going to be equal to 55. And we know that that is a percentage. All right. So on number 2, what percent of 120 is 200? Now, when we see this word of right here, that's going to tell us how we're going to set this one up. Might seem kind of funny to you, but here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to put 200 in the numerator over 120, and that is going to be equal to the ratio of x over 100. And again, I'm going to use a different color to utilize the cross product property here, and then we're going to end up with We're going to end up with 200 with 2 zeros behind it, which is 20,000, and that's going to be equal to 120x. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my calculator. 20,000 divided by 120, that's going to give us 166 repeating. And I'm going to go ahead and round that to 67. And again, that is a percentage, so make sure you label that as such. All right, the instructions for number 3 are to try that one on your own. So go ahead and pause the video, try number 3, and then we'll come back and show our work here. All right, hopefully you actually paused the video and did number 3 on your own. The way I set that up was 28 over 42 is going to be equal to x over 100. I used the cross product property and ended up with 2800 is equal to 42x. Divide both sides by 42 to isolate x and get it by itself. End up with 66 2/3, which is, I rounded it, so it's a percentage, so I labeled it as such, and we're going to move on. Alright, for number 4, it says, what is 125% of 62? So we're kind of working a little bit backwards on this one, but we can handle it. 125 over 100 is going to be equal to some sort of number over 62, and that's going to be our setup for this one. Again, we're going to use the cross product property, and I'm going to end up with 100x is equal to 125 times 62. I'm going to plug that one into my calculator because I can't do that in my head. Wish that I could. 7750 is what I'm going to get there. Okay. I can do this one in my head. I can divide 7750 by 100. I just move the decimal to the left 2 places, and then I end up with 77.5 as a percentage of 62. It's not a percentage of 62. That is not a percentage of 62. 77.5 would be 125% of 62, so that's just a number. Sorry about that. Alright, number 5 says, what is 40% of 720? So I'm going to set up my equation, or my ratio. I've got 40 over 100, and I'm going to have some sort of number over 720. That's the number that I'm looking for. Okay, cross product property, I'll end up with 100x again, and then I'm going to have to do 40 times 720, and that's going to be 28,800. Again, I can just move the decimal over to the left 2 places, and that's going to be how much it is if I divide by 100, so x is going to be equal to 288. Alright, and the instructions for number 6 are to try that one on your own, so go ahead and pause the video, actually do it, and come back here in just a second and we'll compare notes. Alright, again, I hope that you actually did your work for number 6 on your own. If you don't, pause the video and do that sometimes. You're not going to get as much out of it as you could if you were to go ahead and give that a shot. But there's my work. That's how I set it up. I should have gotten x is equal to 411. Again, that is 50% of 822. We could have just taken 822 and divided by 2 and gotten there, but we want to use that cross product property we're trying to figure out and we're trying to learn. So on to the next one. Alright, number 7 says 60% of what number is 75. So this one we're trying to figure out the base number. So we've got 60% of a ratio of 60% there, 60 over 100. We've got 75, and on this one we're going to go 75 over x. Alright, so it'll set up just a little differently, but I think you guys get the idea. Once we get to this point, we're going to have 60x is equal to 7,500. And I do need to do that one in my calculator. 7,500 divided by 60. It's going to be 125. So 125 is my base number in that particular case. Okay, and let's do that again. Number 8, 5% of what number is 4.1? So again, we're going to set up our percentage ratio there, 5 over 100, and we know 4.1 was the number that we ended up with. That's the 5% of something. So let's put x in the denominator there. Our setup is going to be 5x is equal to, we'll move the decimal place over 2 places, which will give us 410, and then we need to do 410 divided by 5. So 82 is the number we were looking for, the base. So 5% of 82 is going to be 4.1. Alright, number 9. It's another one of those that you're going to try on your own, so pause the video. We'll come back here in just a few minutes and show our work. Alright, so here's my work for number 9. 68% of what number is 64.6. Use the cross product property, and then I solved for x. X equals 95. On to the next one. Alright, for number 10, we've got a sale we're going to hit. We're going to buy a set of golf clubs that are regularly $600 and are now on sale for 40% off. What is the sale price of the clubs? So, I think you guys can probably figure this out. We're still going to pay 60%, but I'm going to show this anyways. 100% minus 40% is equal to 60%. That's how much I still have to pay. Alright, so I'm going to set up my ratio as such. So 60 over 100 is going to be equal to some sort of price that I'm going to pay, and my regular price is 600. Alright, I was trying to make that 0 a little more happy, and I didn't. I made it a little more sloppy. Okay, so cross product property, I'm going to end up with 100x is equal to 60 times 600. Again, that's one of those where we know what 6 times 6 is. That's 36, and then I can just add the amount of zeros that I multiplied. So I'm going to add 3 zeros to the end of that, and I end up with 36,000. I can do all of this in my head because then I can divide by 100. All I have to do is move the decimal place over 2 places, and x is going to be 360. That's how much money I'm going to pay for this new set of golf clubs. I found a pretty good deal. Alright, number 11 is a little bit of a business problem. I like these. A savings account is earning 7% simple interest each year. Last year, the account earned $294 in interest. What is the account balance at the beginning of last year? So, we are given the information of 7% interest, so we know that ratio over 100. And we don't know what number was in the balance, but we know that we got $294 out of 7%. So we should be able to figure out what the balance was. That should be the denominator over there. Here we go. We're going to end up with our cross-product property of 7x. 294 times 100. I don't need the calculator for that one. I'm just going to plug 2 zeros onto the end of that, or tack 2 zeros on. I might need the calculator for 294 divided by 7, though. Let's see what that is. Or 29,400, excuse me, divided by 7. So, in this case, our starting value was $4,200. And if we wanted to work backwards from there and multiply that times 7%, we could simply plug in 4,200 into our calculator and multiply that by 0.07 to see if we actually get 294, and I do. That checks out. That's how much money we had in our account balance at the beginning of the year. Folks, I hope this is making sense to you. If not, ask questions in class. We will see you soon. Enjoy the rest of the music, and if you can remember where the music comes from, or what television show the music comes from, let me know in class. I'll have an idea of who watched my video.